এই সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টে আমরা ছিলাম। সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টে দুটো রিজন, পেজ নাম্বার 85-এ। ফার্স্ট রিজনটা হচ্ছে ফ্যাক্টরস লিডিং টু সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্ট। ফার্স্ট কজটা হচ্ছে সাইমন কমিশন। In November 1927, the British government appointed the Indian Statutory Commission, popularly known as Simon Commission. সেখানে কি হলো, on February 3, that day of commission reached Bombay. That day when the commission reached Bombay, an all India hartal was organized. However, the commission went Wherever the commission went, it was greeted with hartals and black flag demonstrations under the slogan Simon Go Back. The government used brutal suppression and police attacks to break the popular opposition. On October 30, 1928, while leading a demonstration at Lahore railway station, Lala Lajpat Rai was grievously injured. He lost his life as a result of lathi blows from the police. এবার ডিক্লারেশন অফ পূর্ণ স্বরাজ, এটা আরেকটা কারণ। The Calcutta, acha, Jawaharlal Nehru was made the president of Congress at the historic Lahore session of 1929, passed a resolution declaring Purna Swaraj to be the objective of the Congress. Next, civil disobedience movement. ফের কজ হলো তো ফ্যাক্টরস লিডিং টু সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্ট। এইবারে কজের পর হলো ডিক্লারেশন অফ পূর্ণ স্বরাজ আর লাহোর সেশন। এরপর ডান্ডি মার্চ, Gandhi Irvine packed a second roundtable conference. সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টটা শুরুই হচ্ছে ডান্ডি মার্চ দিয়ে। On 12th March, Mahatma Gandhi began the historic march from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi, a village on Gujarat sea coast. A number of people followed him. On the morning of 6th April, Gandhiji violated the salt law at Dandi by picking up some salt left by the sea waves. According to the salt law, the government had the monopoly to manufacture and sell salt. He had selected to attack the salt laws because the salt tax affected all sections of the society, especially the poor. Gandhiji's breaking of the salt law marked the beginning of civil disobedience movement. Dandi March. এইবার ডান্ডি মার্চের পর program and impact of the movement. হ্যাঁ, এইটা হবে program আর impact of the movement, page number 88. Program of the movement. Civil disobedience movement involved defiance of salt law, boycott of liquor, boycott of foreign cloth and British goods of all kinds, non-payment of tax and revenues. The civil disobedience movement was different from non-cooperation movement. The former, মানে civil disobedience movement, involved non-payment of tax and land revenue as well as violation of laws of different kinds in addition to non-cooperation activities. Non-cooperation মুভমেন্টের যা যা অ্যাক্টিভিটি ছিল তার সাথে সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টে এটাও হলো নন পেমেন্ট অফ ট্যাক্স, ল্যান্ড রেভিনিউ, ভায়োলেশন অফ লস, এই ব্যাপারগুলো এতে নেওয়া হলো। তাই সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টে ডিফারেন্স অফ সল্ট লও রইল, তার সাথে বয়কট অফ লিকার রইল, বয়কট অফ ফরেন ক্লথ রইল অ্যান্ড ব্রিটিশ গুডস, নন পেমেন্ট অফ ট্যাক্সেস অ্যান্ড রেভিনিউজ রইল। এবার প্রগ্রেস অফ দ্য মুভমেন্ট কি কি হয়েছিল সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্টে, এটাও কিন্তু সিলেবাসে আছে। প্রোগ্রাম এন্ড ইম্প্যাক্ট অফ দ্য মুভমেন্ট এইটা পুরোটাই, তারপর গান্ধী ইরভিন প্যাক্ট আর সেকেন্ড রাউন্ড টেবিল কনফারেন্সে চলে যাব। The movement spread rapidly. Violation of salt laws all over the country was soon followed by defiance of forest laws in Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Central Province. Everyone in the country Everywhere in the country, people joined hartals, demonstrations, and campaigned to boycott foreign goods and refuse to pay taxes. Lakhs of Indians offered satyagraha. The boycott of British goods and picketing of liquor shops were part of daily program. The movement launched the extreme northwestern corner of India. Under the leadership of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Frontier Gandhi, the Pathans organized the Society of Khudai Khidmatgars, or servants of God, known popularly as Red Shirts. They were pledged to non-violence and freedom struggle. এইগুলোই হলো movement. Extreme north or western corner of India inspired the brave Pathans under the leadership of Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, popularly known as Frontier Gandhi. The Pathans organized the Society of Khudai Khidmatgars, popularly known as Red Shirts. Civil disobedience movement resulted in mass strikes and setup of parallel governments in several places. যাই হোক, এইবার সোজা হচ্ছে গান্ধী ইরভিন প্যাক্ট আর সেকেন্ড রাউন্ড টেবিল কনফারেন্সে চলে যাব। গান্ধী ইরভিন প্যাক্টে কি ছিল? Since satyagraha could not be suppressed, সেই জন্য তেজ বাহাদুর সাপ্রু and জায়াকার started negotiations with Gandhiji in jail. যেহেতু সত্যগ্রহকে থামানো যাচ্ছিল না, পেজ নাম্বার 88 এ আছে এটা, তেজ বাহাদুর সাপ্রু আর জয়াকার, JAYAKAR, Jayakar started negotiations with Gandhiji in jail. This resulted in the signing of a pact by Gandhiji and Lord Irwin, the Viceroy, in March 1931. This was known as Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Gandhi-Irwin Pact কিছু কথা গভর্নমেন্ট রাজি হলো, কিছু কথা কংগ্রেস কিন্তু রাজি হলো। গভর্নমেন্ট কি কি রাজি হলো? রিলিজ অল পলিটিক্যাল প্রিজনার্স এক্সেপ্ট দোজ গিলটি অফ ভায়োলেন্স, withdraw all ordinances and end prosecutions, permit the free collection or manufacture of salt by persons near the sea coast, restore the confiscated properties of the satyagrahis, permit peaceful picketing of liquor and foreign cloth shops. তাহলে গভর্নমেন্ট এই গান্ধী ইরভিন প্যাক্টের পর কি কি এতে সহমত হলো? withdraw all audiences and end prosecutions, release all political prisoners except those guilty of violence, permit peaceful picketing of liquor and foreign cloth shops, restore confiscated properties of satyagrahis, or permit free collection of manufacture of salt by persons near the sea coast. এবার কংগ্রেস কিসে কিসে সহমত হলো? টু সাসপেন্ড সিভিল ডিসোবিডিয়েন্সি মুভমেন্ট, to participate in the second session of the round table conference, to participate in second round table conference, আর to suspend civil disobedience movement, এগুলো কংগ্রেস রাজি হলো। এবার সেকেন্ড রাউন্ড টেবিল কনফারেন্স। It was attended by Gandhiji as a sole representative of the Congress, according to the terms of Gandhi-Irwin Pact. The conference was soon deadlocked on the minority issues, with separate electorates being demanded not only by Muslims but also by depressed classes, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, and Europeans. The question of independence or setting up of a responsible government receded into the background. The British government refused to concede the immediate grant of dominion status. Gandhi returned to India disappointed. তাহলে সেকেন্ড রাউন্ড টেবিল কনফারেন্স কিন্তু একটা ফেইলিউরেই এন্ড করলো। কি হলো? ইট ওয়াজ অ্যাটেন্ডেড বাই গান্ধীজি। গান্ধীজি ওটা সোল রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ ছিল কংগ্রেসে। অ্যাকর্ডিং টু দ্য টার্মস অফ দ্য গান্ধী-ইরভিন প্যাক্ট অফ 1931, the conference was soon deadlocked on the minorities issue, with separate electorates being demanded not only by the Muslims but also by the depressed classes, Indian Christians, Anglo Indians, Europeans. The question of independence or setup of responsible government are utlo na. Government refused to concede the immediate grant of dominion status, refused to give dominion status. সেই জন্য গান্ধীজি returned to India disappointed. এরপর কিন্তু বহু কিছুই আর সিলেবাসে দেখতে পাচ্ছি না। এই ভীমরাও, রামজি আম্বেদকর এইসব কিন্তু নেই। আর্কিটেক্টস অফ দি ইন্ডিয়ান কনস্টিটিউশন পেনশন কিছুই নেই। এই লোকটা প্রোটেকশন অফ দালিত রাইটস এর জন্য করেছে, হি স্টার্টেড মেনি পিরিয়ডিক্যালস, এইসব করেছে বটে, কিন্তু এই বাবা সাহেব, সরি, ভীমরাও রামজি আম্বেদকর, বি আর আম্বেদকর, এই লোকটা যে আর্কিটেক্ট অফ ইন্ডিয়ান কনস্টিটিউশন, এসব কিন্তু নেই। পরে দেখবো এগুলো, পরের চ্যাপ্টারে চলে যাই। কুইট ইন্ডিয়া মুভমেন্ট, এটার কজেস, কুইট ইন্ডিয়া রেজলিউশন আর সিগনিফিকেন্স অফ দ্য মুভমেন্ট। কজেস এর মধ্যে কি আছে? কজেস হচ্ছে ফেইলিওর অফ ক্রিপস মিশন আর আরেকটা হচ্ছে জাপানিজ থ্রেট। এই দুটোই বলছে কজেস অফ কুইট ইন্ডিয়া মুভমেন্ট। Failure of the Cripps mission. The Cripps mission almost Cripps mission ki Sir Stratford Cripps, a member of the war cabinet, would go to India for consultation with all the parties. কিন্তু এই ক্রিপস মিশনটার ফেইলিওর হয়ে গেল। চার্চিল অ্যানাউন্স করলো ইন মার্চ, এই ক্রিপস মিশনটা কি ছিল? চার্চিল অ্যানাউন্সড ইন মার্চ ইন 1942 that Sir Stratford Cripps, a member of the war cabinet, would go to India for consultation with all the parties. Page number 99, failure of the Cripps mission. Almost all the parties and sections of the people rejected the proposal on the following grounds. কি কি কারণে ক্রিপস মিশন রিজেক্টেড হয়ে গেল, ফেলিওর হয়ে গেল ক্রিপস মিশনে? Cripps mission did not bring with it the promise of independence in near future. Cripps mission কিন্তু promise of independence in near future এ আদেও নিয়ে এলো না। ইউসুফ বলে একটা লোক কিন্তু প্রথম এই স্লোগানটা এনেছিল, সাইমন গো ব্যাক। আর এই ইউসুফ লোকটাই সম্ভবত it was during this time that Yusuf, a socialist leader and mayor of Bombay, suggested the phrase quit India and Gandhiji immediately agreed to it. এই ইউসুফ লোকটা কুইট ইন্ডিয়া কথাটা এনেছিল। যাই হোক, তো ফেইলিওর অফ দ্য ক্রিপস মিশন কেন সবাই রিজেক্ট করলো? Churchill announced in March 1942 that Stratford Cripps, Sir Stratford Cripps, a member of the cabinet, would go to India for consultation with all the parties. The Cripps mission proposed the following constitutional মানে অনেকগুলো কনস্টিটিউশনাল রিফর্ম ওরা প্রপোজ করলো, কিন্তু কেউ অ্যাকসেপ্ট কেন করলো না ক্রিপস মিশন? তার কারণ ক্রিপস মিশন ডিড নট ব্রিং উইথ ইট দ্য প্রমিস অফ ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স ইন নিয়ার ফিউচার। The plan involved partitioning the country, আরেকটা বদ বুদ্ধি, ক্রিপস মিশন পার্টিশন করবে ঠিক করলো। The Hindu Mahasabha rejected the proposals of Cripps mission because it feared the partition of India. The Sikhs, Anglo Indians, the Indian Christians, labor leaders also opposed them because they did not provide sufficient safeguards for their interest. Sikh, Anglo Indian, Indian Christian, labor leaders তারাও অপোজ করলো ক্রিপস মিশনকে, কারণ ওদেরকেও কোনো সাফিসিয়েন্ট সেফগার্ড দেবে বলে মনে হলো না। আরেক দিকে হলো কি, the people of the princely states had no right to send their representatives to the proposed constitution making. প্রিন্সলি স্টেটের লোকদের কোনো রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ পাঠাবার অধিকার রইল না। আরেকটা কারণ ছিল জাপানিজ থ্রেট। এটা তো ফেইলিওর অফ দ্য ক্রিপস মিশনের কারণ, আর জাপানিজ থ্রেট আরেকটা কারণ কুইট ইন্ডিয়া মুভমেন্টের জন্য। The war situation was discouraging in 1942. The Japanese army had attacked Burma and was marching towards Assam. জাপানিজ আর্মি বার্মাকে অ্যাটাক অলরেডি করে ফেলেছিল, ওয়ার সিচুয়েশন ওয়ার্সেন করে যাচ্ছিল 1942-তে, এবার বার্মা থেকে আসামের দিকে ঢুকছিল। সেই জন্য the Indian leaders were anxious to save the country from Japanese invasion, but the slavery was a hindrance. Gandhiji and other leaders were convinced that this situation called for complete independence from the British immediately. Gandhiji said, Acha, Dorkani Gandhiji said, so they decided to launch a movement calling upon the British to quit India. এবার কুইট ইন্ডিয়ার রেজলিউশন। কুইট ইন্ডিয়া রেজলিউশন কি? The Congress Working Committee met at Wardha in July 1942. It adopted a resolution known as Quit India Resolution. The resolution stated British rule in India must end immediately. ভীষণ ভীষণ ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে কুইট ইন্ডিয়া রেজলিউশনটা কি ছিল। কুইট ইন্ডিয়া রেজলিউশনটা এটাই ছিল যে দ্য কংগ্রেস ওয়ার্কিং কমিটি মেট অ্যাট ওয়ার্ধা ইন জুলাই 1942. It adopted a resolution known as the Quit India Resolution. The resolution stated British rule in India must end immediately. Quit India Resolution এটাই। Significance of the movement. গান্ধীজি ডিক্লেয়ার করলো it was a decision to do or die. রেজলিউশনটা এটাই ছিল। All India Congress Committee met at Bombay on August 8, 1942, passed the Quit India Resolution adopted at Wardha in July 1942. Gandhiji declared that it was a decision to do or die. এবার impact বা significance of Quit India movement. Quit India movement was in fact short-lived. 101 page number 101. Its importance lay in the fact that it demonstrated the depth that nationalist feeling had reached in the country. It was evident that the British would no longer find it possible to rule India against the wishes of the people. The Quit India movement strengthened the Congress Socialist Party because of its heroic role in the movement. Its leader, Joy Prakash Narayan, became a legendary figure. The party continued its underground movement till 1942. After the suppression of Quit India movement, the constitutional question remained dominant till After the suppression of Quit India movement in 1942, there was hardly any political activity inside the country till the war ended in 1945. তো কুইট ইন্ডিয়া মুভমেন্টের সিগনিফিকেন্স তাহলে কি কি হলো? আহ Quit India movement was in fact short-lived. Its importance lay in the fact that it demonstrated the depth that nationalist feeling had reached in the country and the great capacity for struggle and sacrifice that the people had developed. It was a mass uprising before attaining independence. People from all parts of India took part in the procession and demonstrations. The Hindus, Muslims, Sikh, Christians, Parsis, and even people from princely states participated. Quit India movement strengthened the Congress Socialist Party because of its heroic role in movement. In the movement, its leader Jay Prakash Narayan became a legendary figure. The party continued its underground movement till 1944 when it came to an end. আচ্ছা এবার হচ্ছে চ্যাপ্টার 8 ফরওয়ার্ড ব্লক অবজেক্টিভস আইএনএ অবজেক্টিভস অ্যান্ড কন্ট্রিবিউশন ফরওয়ার্ড ব্লকে শুধু অবজেক্টিভস objectives of forward block. After attaining independence, forward bloc would work for the establishment of socialist party through recognition of agriculture and industry on socialist lines, abolition of zamindari system, introduction of new monetary and credit system. Forward bloc's immediate objective was liberation of India with the support of workers, peasants, youths and other organization. Or after attaining independence, immediate objective chilo forward block liberation of India with the support of workers, peasants, youth and other organizations. Are after attaining independence, forward bloc would work for the establishment of socialist state through recognition of agriculture and industry on socialist lines, abolition of jomindari system, introduction of new monetary and credit system. ফরওয়ার্ড ব্লকের অবজেক্টিভস অবজেক্টিভস এর পর আইএন এর objectives of INA. Main objectives of INA were to organize an armed revolution and to fight the British Army with modern arms. The motto of INA was unity, faith, and sacrifice. To organize a provisional government of free India in order to mobilize all the forces effectively. Total mobilization of Indian manpower, page number 107 এর to organize an armed revolution and to fight the British Army with modern arms. It was not possible for the Indians to organize an armed revolution from their homeland. To organize a provisional government of free India in order to mobilize all the forces effectively. Total mobilization of Indian manpower. The motto of INA was unity, faith, and sacrifice. এবার contribution of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. The idea of Indian National Army was conceived by Mohan Singh, who inducted Indian prisoners of war into INA. যাই হোক মোহন সিং হ্যাঁ এবার contributions of Netaji INA তে he led the freedom struggle outside India as a supreme commander of the INA. Netaji set up the provisional government of Free India in Singapore. He declared war on Britain and US and acquired its first stretch of territory in India when Japan handed over Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Subhash Chandra Bose gave the call to his soldiers, "Give me blood and I shall give you freedom." He gave slogans, "Delhi chalo, Jai Hind." তাহলে সুভাষচন্দ্র বোসের কন্ট্রিবিউশন হলে সুভাষচন্দ্র বোস গিভ দ্য কল টু হিজ সোলজার্স, "গিভ মি ব্লাড অ্যান্ড আই শ্যাল গিভ ইউ ফ্রিডম", এটা একটা। হি গেভ দ্য স্লোগানস, "দিল্লি চলো, জয় হিন্দ"। The INA gave a tough fight to the British forces in Assam Hills and succeeded in capturing Ukhral and Kohima। উখরাল আর কোহিমা ক্যাপচার করতে সক্ষম হয়েছিল UKHRAL, উখরাল, কোহিমা KOHIMA, কোহিমা। However, the surrender of Japan in Second World War sealed the fate of INA. The INA set an inspiring example of patriotism. INA শেষ। এবার চলে যাব ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স অ্যান্ড পার্টিশন অফ ইন্ডিয়া। ক্যাবিনেট মিশন প্ল্যানের শুধু ক্লজেস, মাউন্ট ব্যাটেনস প্ল্যানে ক্লজেস অ্যান্ড অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স, ইন্ডিয়ান ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স অ্যাক্ট শুধু ক্লজেস। তাহলে ক্যাবিনেট মিশন প্ল্যানের শুধু ক্লজেসগুলি, clauses of the cabinet mission plan. The cabinet, page number 114. The cabinet mission proposed a two-tier federal plan which was expected to maintain national unity while conceding the largest measure. The clauses of cabinet mission plan. There was to be a federal union of British provinces. The union would have its own executive and legislature composed of members elected by all provinces. Page number 115. এবার বলছে গ্রুপিং অফ প্রভিন্সেস হবে, গ্রুপ এ, গ্রুপ বি, গ্রুপ সি। The British provinces would be divided into groups. Each group could determine the provincial subjects to be taken up in common. Group A, this would include 6 Hindu majority provinces যেমন Madras, Bombay, Central Province, United Province, Bihar and Odisha. Group B include 3 Muslim majority provinces, Punjab, Northwest Frontier Province and Sindh. Group C, this would include Bengal and Assam. A province could opt out of any group and join another by a majority of votes. তাহলে clauses of cabinet mission প্ল্যানে হচ্ছে গ্রুপিং অফ প্রভিন্সেস একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, আরেকটা হচ্ছে প্রভিন্সেসের ফুল অটোনমি থাকবে। দ্য প্রভিন্স উড এনজয় ফুল অটোনমি ফর অল সাবজেক্টস আদার দেন ইউনিয়ন সাবজেক্টস। ক্লজেস অফ ক্যাবিনেট মিশন প্ল্যানে আর কি, a constituent assembly would be set up to frame the new constitution of Indian Union. There are 296 members elected from the British provinces, 93 members to be elected from princely states. Representation of minorities. Separate representation would be given to the Muslims and the Sikhs. Formation of an interim government would be formed at the center with 14 members. Are reaction of the demand of Pakistan. না দরকার নেই এটা, এই অবধি রিপ্রেজেন্টেশন অফ মাইনরিটিস আর এই অবধি হবে। ক্যাবিনেট মিশন প্ল্যানের এটা হচ্ছে ক্লজেস। এরপর মাউন্ট ব্যাটেন প্ল্যানের ক্লজেস আর অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স। Mountbatten Plan. মাউন্টব্যাটেন প্ল্যানের শুধু ক্লজেস। Mountbatten Plan. The country would be divided into two dominions. The plan was announced on June 3, 1947. The main points of the plan included the following. The country would be divided into two dominions, India and Pakistan. It was for two dominions to decide what relations they would have with the British Commonwealth with each other. The plan provided for the creation of boundary commission to settle the boundaries of the two dominions. The partition of Bengal and Punjab was proposed, provided that the Legislative Council of two provinces decided in favor of Pakistan. The Muslim majority district of Sylhet were to decide whether it would join East Bengal or remain in Assam. তাহলে clauses of the Mountbatten Plan. The plan was announced on June 3, 1947. The country would be divided into two dominions, India and Pakistan. It was for two dominions to decide what relations they would have with the British Commonwealth. দুটো ডমিনিয়ন ডিসাইড করবে যে তাদের ব্রিটিশ কমনওয়েলথের সাথে কেমন সম্পর্ক থাকবে। নেক্সট, the plan provided for the creation of a boundary commission to settle the boundaries of the two dominions. Boundary commission থাকবে। Partition of Bengal and Punjab was proposed, provided that the legislative assembly of the two provinces decided in favor of the partition. Muslim majority district of Sylhet was to decide whether it would join East Bengal or remain in Assam. The existing Constituent Assembly would continue to work by the constitution framed by it would not apply to Pakistan. Existing Constituent Assembly would continue to work, but the constitution যেটা frame হবে would not apply to Pakistan. এবার এগুলো গেল ক্লজেস। এবার অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স অফ মাউন্টব্যাটেন প্ল্যান, এরাও সিলেবাসে আছে। The All India Congress Committee accepted the Mountbatten Plan because, according to Maulana Azad, the Congress had no other alternative. The reasons for finally accepting the Mountbatten Plan were large scale communal riots that engulfed the whole country convinced all that the only solution to the communal problem lay in the partition of India. এই যে লার্জ স্কেল কমিউনাল রাইট যে তৈরি হয়ে গেছিল, যেটা এনগালফ করে ফেলেছিল গোটা দেশকে, এটা কনভিন্স করলো দ্যাট only solution to communal problem lay in the partition of India. আর the only alternative to partition was a federation with a weak center. A smaller India with strong central authority was better than a bigger state with a weak center. তার চেয়ে একটা বড় স্টেট তাতে উইক সেন্টার হওয়ার চেয়ে একটা ছোট জায়গা স্ট্রং অথরিটি থাকা অনেক ভালো। Any further continuation of British rule would mean a greater calamity for India. The British were instigating the rulers of Indian states to remain independent. Hence, partition was the price for immediate independence. The leaders felt that further delaying the transfer of power could find India in the midst of civil war. আরো দেরি করলে পর সিভিল ওয়ার শুরু হয়ে যাবে, তার চেয়ে ভালো পার্টিশনই হয়ে যাক। The leaders felt that partition would rid the constitution of separate electorates and other undemocratic procedures. মানে partition would help us to get, মানে help the constitution get rid of separate electorates and other undemocratic procedures. And India could then evolve a truly secular and democratic polity. তাহলে অ্যাকসেপ্টেন্স অফ মাউন্টব্যাটেন প্ল্যান হয়ে গেল। এবার বলছে ইন্ডিয়ান ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স অ্যাক্ট 1945, এটা শুধু ক্লজেস আছে। India would be partitioned and two independent dominions, India and Pakistan, would be created from August 15, 1947. The act provided legislative supremacy of both the dominions. The territories of two dominions were divided in such terms that Pakistan would comprise Sindh, British Baluchistan, Northwest Frontier Province, the West Punjab, and East Bengal. India was to comprise all the remaining territories included in British India. India would be partitioned and two independent dominions, India and Pakistan, would be created from August 15, 1945. The act provided legislative supremacy of both the dominions. The territories of the two dominions were divided into such terms that Pakistan would comprise Sindh, British Baluchistan, Northwest Frontier Province, and West Punjab and East Bengal. India was to comprise all the remaining territories included in British India at page number 118. Indian Independence Act. The Indian Independence Act 1947. Ebar provisions of partition. Both Bengal and Punjab would be divided if so desired by the people. The provincial assemblies of the two parts would meet separately, representing Hindu Muslim districts and Muslim majority districts. Would decide through a majority whether they wanted the division of the province or not. The plebiscite would be held in Northwest Frontier Province as well as Sylhet district in East Bengal to determine whether they would like to join Pakistan or India. Plebiscite would be held in Northwest Frontier Province as well as in Sylhet district in East Bengal to determine whether they would like to join Pakistan or India. There would be a governor general who would be appointed by the British king on the advice of the cabinet of the concerned dominions. আর আরেকটা হলো ইন্ডিয়ান ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স অ্যাক্টে দি এন্ড অফ জুরিসডিকশন অফ দ্য ব্রিটিশ পার্লিয়ামেন্ট. The abolition of the use of the title Emperor of India by the British monarch, এইসব চলে যাবে. The legislative authority of the British Parliament would cease from August 15, 1947. The Governor General was given the powers to modify or adopt the Government of India Act. The right of king to veto laws was given up. This right was given to Governor General of India. এইবার আরো অনেকগুলো পয়েন্ট আছে, এগুলো পরে দেখা যাবে. ইন্ডিয়ান ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্স অ্যাক্ট হয়ে গেল. এবার চ্যাপ্টার 10 ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার. ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ারের কজেস কজেসে আছে ন্যাশনালিজম, ইম্পেরিয়ালিজম, রেস অফ আর্মামেন্টস, division of Europe into two groups, or Sarajevo crisis. Causes of the First World War in nationalism and imperialism refers to the sense of unity felt by the people who share a common history, language, and culture. In the latter half of the 19th century, this feeling of unity turned into extreme pride, which made the people of many countries believe that their country is superior to the other countries. This led to the development of an aggressive nationalism in Europe. Aggressive nationalism meant love for one's own country and hatred for other countries. For example, France wanted to get back its provinces of Alsace and Lorraine from Germany. Similarly, Italy wanted to get back the territory of Trentino Trieste, Trentino Trieste from Austria and Balkan states. These countries developed exceptionist policies in the name of nationalism. Therefore, military strength became synonymous with national prestige, and every country began to increase her military power. This aggressive nationalism also led to imperialism. By the end of 19th century, England and France had built up a huge colonial empire in Asia and Africa. British imperialism was focused on maintaining and expanding trade by exploiting the resources of the colonies. Our imperial power was reinforced by her Britain's imperial power was reinforced by her powerful and world's largest navy. এইবারে রেস ফর আর্মামেন্টস না যাই হোক ওটাও এখনো শেষ হয়নি যে other countries of the world like Germany, Italy, Russia, Japan also wanted to increase their sphere of influence and create their colonies in Asia and Africa. Thus, aggressive nationalism and fierce economic competition filled the atmosphere with fear, apprehension, mutual hatred, and international tension. People felt convinced that international problems could only be solved through militarism. Next, race for armaments এটা দ্বিতীয় কারণ ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ারের The mad race for armaments, which began soon after the Franco Prussian War, was one of the reasons which led to the First World War. As a result, if one country increased its armaments, the other countries were compelled to do the same. It filled the atmosphere with fear, apprehension, mutual hatred. By 1914, Germany had left Britain, France far behind the production of coal and iron and steel, and many other manufactures. One of its ships, the Imperator, built in 1912, was the largest in the world. The Germans dug the Kiel Canal deeper so that battleships could enter its waters. এটা গেল রেস ফর আর্মামেন্টস পাওয়ার Mad race for armaments, which began soon after the Franco-Prussian War, was one of the reasons that led to the First World War. এবার division of Europe into two hostile groups. এইটারই কোয়েশ্চেন ছিল যে দুটো হোস্টাইল গ্রুপে ডিভিশন হয়েছিল ইউরোপ ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ারের আগে। এই দুটো হোস্টাইল গ্রুপের নাম হচ্ছে ট্রিপল অ্যালায়েন্স অ্যান্ড ট্রিপল এনটেন্টে। Germany entered into an alliance with Austria-Hungary in 1882. Italy joined, মানে অস্ট্রিয়া হাঙ্গেরি ইটালি। হাই, হ্যাঁ, HAI, হাই, HAI, হাই, হাঙ্গেরি, অস্ট্রিয়া, ইটালি। এই তিনজন মিলে হয়েছিল ট্রিপল অ্যালায়েন্স। আর ট্রিপল এনটেন্টে কার কার হয়েছিল? Thus, Japan joined the Triple Entente. The Russian Empire included the territories Turkish and Mughal. The three countries entered into Triple Entente. যাই হোক, এই ট্রিপল অ্যালায়েন্স আর ট্রিপল এন্টেন্টে এই দুটো হয়েছিল ডিভিশন অফ ইউরোপ ইন্টু টু হোস্টাইল গ্রুপস। এটা হচ্ছে বিফোর ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার, এটাও একটা কারণ ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ারে। তাহলে ডিভিশন অফ ইউরোপ বিটুইন টু হোস্টাইল গ্রুপস, রেস ফর আর্মামেন্টস আর ন্যাশনালিজম অ্যান্ড ইম্পিরিয়ালিজম। ইমিডিয়েট কজটা হচ্ছে স্যারাজেভো ক্রাইসিস। Archduke Francis Ferdinand, the heir to the throne of Austria Hungary, was assassinated at Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, on June 28, 1914. The assassination was organized by a secret society called Black Hand. এবার Austria served an ultimatum on Serbia, making 11 demands. Serbia accepted most of the demands except those that would have led to the loss of her sovereignty. Austria declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. 1st August 1914, Germany declared war on Russia. On August 3, Germany declared war on France. Britain declared war on Germany on 4th August. Japan declared war on Germany. Turkey and Bulgaria joined on the side of Germany. Italy remained neutral for some time but joined war against Germany in 1914, breaking the Triple Alliance. Britain, France, Russia, and other three allies were called Allied powers. Germany, Austria, and their allies were called Central powers. The war was fought in many different areas called fronts. There was a Western Front between Germany and Northern France, and Eastern Front between Germany and Russian forces. যাই হোক, সারাজেভো ক্রাইসিসটা হচ্ছে ইমিডিয়েট কজ। তার ফার্স্ট এটা হচ্ছে আর্কডিউক ফার্ডিনান্ড, দ্য heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, was assassinated at Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, in June 20, 1914. The assassination was organized by a secret society called Black Hand. Austria served an ultimatum on Serbia on June 23, making 11 demands. Serbia accepted most of the demands except those that would have led to the loss of her sovereignty. Austria declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. On 1st August, Germany declared war on Russia. On 3rd August, Germany declared war on France. Britain declared war on Germany on 4th August. Japan declared war on Germany. তারপর Italy remained neutral for some time but again joined the war against Germany in 1915, breaking the Triple Alliance. এবার ব্রাফ BRF হচ্ছে ব্রিটেন, ফ্রান্স, রাশিয়া অ্যালাইড পাওয়ার্স, আর গা জার্মানি অ্যান্ড অস্ট্রিয়া সেন্ট্রাল পাওয়ার্স। দুটো এতে ভাগ হলো। এবার results of the First World War. Treaty of Versailles. As a result of discussions at the Paris Conference on June 20, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. It ended the war. The victorious powers of the Allies met in a conference first in Versailles, a suburb of Paris. As a result of discussions at the Paris Conference on June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed. তাহলে রিজাল্টস অফ দ্য ওয়ার কি? ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার, সাইনিং অফ দ্য ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস। এবার clauses that have affected the Treaty of Versailles বা টার্মস অফ দ্য ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস, টার্মস বা ক্লজেস অফ দ্য ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস, এটা 2024 এর কোয়েশ্চেন, তাই ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট। The treaty declared Germany guilty of aggression. Germany accepted the war and the war guilt. Germany was required to pay all the loss and damage suffered by the Allies during war. The amount of reparations was fixed at $33 billion. Germany had to cede her merchant ships to the Allies. As a compensation, it had to supply huge quantities of coal to France, Italy, and Belgium for 10 years. The area of Rhine Valley was to be demilitarized, and the German territory west of Rhine was to be occupied by the Allied troops for 15 years. Germany lost Alsace-Lorraine to France. Germany ceded parts of her pre-war territory to Denmark, Belgium, Poland, Czechoslovakia, and France. Coal mines in German area called Saar were ceded to France for 15 years. Germany lost all her colonies to Victoria's allies like Britain, Belgium, South Africa, and Portugal. এইগুলো সব কটা হচ্ছে টার্মস অফ দ্য ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস বা ক্লজেস অফ দ্য ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস German army was restricted to a force of 1 lakh soldiers and the navy was limited to 15,000 men and 24 ships. The air force and submarines were banned. আর কি হলো? Results of the war, formation of the League of Nations. One of the most significant consequences of the war, one of the most significant consequences of the war was the creation of League of Nations. The horrors of the war convinced the leaders of the world that এটা বোঝালো যে there must be some mechanism to prevent the war and promote international cooperation. This culminated in the setting up of the League of Nations. সেজন্য League of Nations was created, page number 130. Created in 1920. এবার এইমস অ্যান্ড অবজেক্টিভস অফ দ্য লিগ অফ নেশনস, এটাও 2024 এসেছিল। All the states of the world were prohibited from entering into any secret treaties and alliances. The member states were not supposed to maintain huge armies, warships, and destructive armaments. All states were to respect each other's independence. All states were to refer their mutual disputes, if any, to the League of Nations for peaceful settlement. The member states were to take necessary action as directed by the League against the state. তাহলে কি কোনো state of the world were prohibited from entering into any secret treaty or alliance, কেউ secret treaty or alliance এ ঢুকবে না। All states were to respect each other's independence. সবাই each other's independence এর respect করবে। The member states were not supposed to maintain huge armies, warships, destructive armaments. Member states আর যত ইচ্ছে army, warship, destructive armament রাখতে পারবে না। All the states were to refer their mutual disputes, if any, to the League of Nations for peaceful settlement. যদি কোনো ডিসপিউট তৈরি হয় কোনো স্টেটের নিজেদের মধ্যে, তাহলে তারা লিগ অফ নেশনস এর জন্য শরণাপন্ন হয় পিসফুল সেটেলমেন্টের জন্য। আর অ্যাপার্ট ফ্রম পলিটিক্যাল ফাংশনস, League of Nations was supposed to promote cultural, social, and economic cooperation among the member states. এটা পেজ নাম্বার 131। চলে যাচ্ছি এবার রাইজ অফ ডিক্টেটরশিপ। Causes for the rise of fascism: discontentment after the Treaty of Versailles, economic crisis, political instability, class conflict, threat of socialism, failure of the League of Nations, leadership provided by Mussolini. এগুলো কারণ, causes for the rise of fascism and rise of Nazism. Causes for the rise of fascism. Causes for the rise of Nazism. Fascism causes: discontentment after the Treaty of Versailles. Italy joined the Allies in the First World War to gain territories of Turkey and Germany. But by the Treaty of Versailles, she could not get that. So Italy joined করেছিল Allies in the First World War to gain territories of Turkey and Germany. Turkey আর জার্মানি টেরিটরি গেইন করার জন্য জয়েন করেছিল ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস, কিন্তু কোনো লাভ হলো না। ইকোনমিক ক্রাইসিস কি ইটালি সাফার্ড হেভি লসেস ইন দ্য টার্মস অফ লাইফ অ্যান্ড প্রপার্টি ইন দ্য ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার। ইকোনমি ইটালি হচ্ছে সাফার করলো হেভি লসেস ইন টার্মস অফ লাইফ অ্যান্ড প্রপার্টি ফার্স্ট ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ারে। After the war, many soldiers became unemployed. Trade and commerce were ruined, leading to large-scale unemployment. এটা একটা কারণ। আর কি কারণ ছিল কজ ফর ফ্যাসিজম? 1919 and 1922 এর মধ্যে 6টা coalition government ছিল বা formed in Italy. The various political parties had different policies and programs, and there was no continuity in their policies. আলাদা আলাদা পলিটিক্যাল পার্টির আলাদা আলাদা পলিসি প্রোগ্রাম ছিল, আর তাদের কোনো কন্টিনিউইটি ছিল না পলিসিতে। They were unable to deal effectively with the problems of unemployment, strike, riot, which took place during 1921 to 2020, 1922. তাই ওদের স্ট্রাইক, রায়ট এইসবের মধ্যে কোনো ডিল করতে পারছিল না এগুলো নিয়ে। দিস সিচুয়েশন ওয়াজ ফুললি এক্সপ্লয়েটেড বাই দ্য ফ্যাসিস্টস আন্ডার দ্য লিডারশিপ অফ মুসলিনি, হু প্রমিসড দ্য পিপল আ স্ট্রং ন্যাশনাল গভর্নমেন্ট। আর কি কারণ ছিল কজ ফর দ্য রাইজ অফ ফ্যাসিজম? The socialists, to include the দরকার নেই, failure of the League of Nations. After the First World War, the League of Nations was established to maintain peace and security in the world and to prevent wars. But it proved peace in the world and to prevent wars, but it proved weak and failed to achieve its aims. Page number 137, হ্যাঁ 136 137 এ আছে আনসারটা। আচ্ছা, to prevent, but it proved weak and failed to achieve its aims. It failed to check the rise of dictatorship. Had it acted well in time, the ambitious plans of Mussolini and Hitler would never have materialized. যদি ঠিক ঠিক কাজ করতে পারত, তাহলে হিটলার আর মুসলিনির বদ বুদ্ধিগুলো মেটেরিয়ালাইজ করতে পারত না। Leadership provided by Mussolini. Mussolini played an important role in the history of Italy. He had a charismatic personality. Mussolini was called Pier Saint di Piedius, which means the leader. এটা গেল causes for the rise of fascism, এবার Nazism, causes for the rise of Nazism, factors which contributed to the growth of Nazism. Humiliating Treaty of Versailles, defeat in the First World War, and the conditions imposed by the Treaty of Versailles made the Germans feel humiliated and helpless. Germans looked down upon the Weimar Republic, which had signed such a disgraceful treaty. Germany was forced to cede large chunks of her territory to France, Belgium, Poland, and Denmark. Germany was forced to pay heavy reparations to the tune of $33 billion, and total strength of the German army was fixed at 1 lakh. $33 billion. জার্মানস লুক ডাউন আপন করলো ওয়েমার রিপাবলিক, কারণ তারা একটা ডিসগ্রেসফুল ট্রিটিকে সাইন করেছিল, আর জার্মানিকে ফোর্স করেছিল হেভি রেপারেশনস টু দ্য টিউন অফ $33 billion, and টোটাল স্ট্রেংথ অফ জার্মান আর্মি ওয়াজ ফিক্সড অ্যাট 1 lakh. The term of this treaty was greatly resented by the Germans, who eagerly looked for an opportunity to avenge the same. খুঁজে বেড়াচ্ছিল একটা অপরচুনিটি এইটার প্রতিশোধ নেবে বলে। The terms of this treaty were greatly resented by the Germans, who eagerly looked for an opportunity to avenge the same. These sentiments were exploited by Hitler. He openly encouraged the Germans to consign the Treaty of Versailles into waste paper basket to rebuild the empire of Germany and to recapture the lost territories. এটা একটা কজ হচ্ছে for the rise of Nazism যে humiliating treaty of Versailles. এবার fear of communism আরেকটা কারণ। After the Bolshevik revolution in Russia, the communist influence in Germany increased considerably. The communists organized themselves effectively and succeeded in capturing a number of seats in Reichstag. Reichstag ইয়েটার বোধহয় নাম। Hitler warned the people that communists of Germany would become the servants of their যাই হোক এই communist growing fear of communism after the Bolshevik revolution in Russia জার্মানি ভয় পেতে লাগলো যে এবার কমিউনিস্ট ইনফ্লুয়েন্স বেড়ে যাবে রাশিয়ায়, কমিউনিস্টরা দখল করে নেবে জার্মানি। বলশেভিক রেভলিউশনের পরে রাশিয়া জার্মানিকে দখল করে নেবে। নেক্সট, ইকোনমিক ক্রাইসিস, এটাও একটা কারণ ছিল ফর দ্য রাইজ অফ নাজিজম। As a result of the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, Germany had to suffer agricultural production, colonies, foreign investment, trade contracts. The number of unemployed people increased. The condition of farmers became miserable. At page number 140, causes for the rise of Nazism. By June 1931, debts on farmers had risen to 3 million, মানে এস লিখে কাটা এটা ডলারের সাইন, $3 million. 300 million dollar. Hitler promised the farmers that he would condone their debts. CONDONE, condone their debts. Next, absence of strong opposition, এটাও একটা কারণ ছিল। The rise of Nazi party in Germany was facilitated by the absence of any strong opposition party. As a result, the Nazi party did not encounter any effective resistance and its popularity achieved great heights. এবার আরেকটা কারণ কি? Charismatic personality of Hitler. Hitler had a charismatic personality, had all the qualities required for a popular leader. He was a shrewd politician and a brave soldier. He knew the art of molding public opinion in favor according to the circumstances. He was a gifted orator who captivated the Germans by his emotional speeches. He openly encouraged Germans to consign the Treaty of Versailles. এই কথাটা খুব আছে। He openly encouraged the Germans to consign the Treaty of Versailles into waste paper basket, rebuild the German Empire and recapture the lost colonies. He assured the Germans that if he would abide by the Nazi ideology, their economic misery would come to an end. This greatly appealed to the German people and they extended full support to Hitler and his Nazi party. হয়ে গেল। এরপর a comparative study of Mussolini's fascist and Hitler's Nazi ideologies. To have a similarity between the ideologies of fascism and Nazism. To have faith in totalitarian rule, to despise democratic political systems, to hold the state is supreme and it could suppress the fundamental rights and freedoms of the individuals, to uphold one party, one leader, to believe in aggressive nationalism and imperialism, to uphold intensely nationalistic, anti communistic, and anti democratic rule. এবার সেকেন্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার, এটারও causes of the second world war হচ্ছে dissatisfaction with the treaty of Versailles. The treaty of Versailles, by which the first world war came to an end, created many problems than it solved. The treaty demanded annexation of German territories and creation of many states. This showed the seeds of bitterness and conflict. In fact, this treaty was based on the spirit of revenge, and Germany was forced to sign the treaty. ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেসটা ভালো করার চেয়ে খারাপ বেশি করলো, মোর প্রবলেম ক্রিয়েট করলো দ্যান সলভ. ট্রিটি অফ ভার্সাইলেস ডিমান্ডেড annexation of German territories and creation of many states. This showed the seed of bitterness and conflict. In fact, this treaty was based on the spirit of revenge, and Germany was forced to sign the treaty. All the German colonies were forcibly taken away from her, and she was divided into two parts for the benefit of Poland. এইবার dissatisfaction of the Treaty of Versailles একটা কারণ, rise of Nazism and fascism. এটা আরেকটা কারণ. The rise of extreme nationalism in Italy and Germany in the form of fascism and Nazism respectively contributed to the causes which led to the Second World War. Italy wanted to revive the glory of old Roman Emperor. She joined the Anti-Comintern Pact in 1937 and formed a 10-year alliance with Germany in 1939 to strengthen her position. Mussolini established dictatorship in Italy. He opposed the Treaty of Versailles. Italy demonstrated her imperialistic designs by attacking Abyssinia. The League of Nations failed to take any action against Italy. In Germany, Hitler wanted to re-establish the prestige of Germany. In the international field, he flouted the military clauses in the Treaty of Versailles and declared rearmament. In 1938, he annexed Austria. Thus, Mussolini and Hitler drove the countries of the world towards another world war. এবার পলিসি অফ অ্যাপিজমেন্টও একটা কারণ ছিল সেকেন্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার. অ্যাপিজমেন্ট refers to the policy of conciliating an aggressive power at the expense of some other country. It meant accepting the hostile demands of the aggressive nation to gain peace. Policy of appeasement মানেই হচ্ছে হোস্টাইল ডিমান্ডকে অ্যাকসেপ্ট করা শান্তির জন্য. Britain and France followed the policy of appeasement towards dictatorial countries like Germany and Italy because they felt that the dictators had a real cause of grievance due to humiliating terms of the Treaty of Versailles, and their grievances were removed. They would not disturb world peace. Further, they wanted to check the rising tide of communism and Russian Bolshevism. পরের পয়েন্টটা হচ্ছে জাপানিজ ইনভেশন অফ চায়না. এটা 4 নম্বর পয়েন্ট. ফার্স্ট পয়েন্ট dissatisfaction with the Treaty of Versailles. সেকেন্ড পয়েন্ট rise of fascism and Nazism. থার্ড পয়েন্ট এই পলিসি অফ অ্যাপিজমেন্ট করতে গিয়ে without the Western countries' policy of appeasement, fascism or Nazism would not have survived so long and would not have been able to unleash the Second World War. বেশি ভদ্র সাজতে গিয়ে, বেশি পলিসি অফ অ্যাপিজমেন্ট করতে গিয়ে হলো কি সেকেন্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার হয়ে গেল. এবার Japanese invasion of China. Japanese policy of expansion was another cause for the Second World War. Japan's ambitions rose after the First World War. She was determined to dominate the Far East. Japan invaded in Manchuria in spite of League's opposition, occupied it, and set up a government there. Japan also started an undeclared war against China in 1931. Japan করলো কি Manchuria invade করলো in spite of League's opposition, occupied করলো Manchuria, set up a government there. Japan also started an undeclared war against China in 1931. Failure of the League of Nations. The failure of the League of Nations, so Arekta created after the First World War to prevent future wars. The League of Nations was created after the First World War to prevent future wars. However, the League suffered an early blow when USA did not join the League. Even those who joined the League were not interested in the principle of collective security. লিগটা কি করলো? Did nothing when Poland, with the backing of France, seized a part of Lithuania in 1920. এই সব করে হলো কি সেকেন্ড ওয়ার্ল্ড ওয়ার শুরু হয়ে গেল। এই যে in 1923 there was a threat of war between Italy and Greece. Italy তাতেও refused to submit to the League's intervention, and the dispute was settled by direct mediation of Great Britain and France. Thereafter, in every crisis, the League was neither defied or ignored. এইটার পর থেকে হলো কি লিগটাকে হয় তাকে ডিফাই করা শুরু হয়ে গেল, নাহলে ইগনোর করা শুরু হয়ে গেল। Besides, the League failed to maintain international peace, and the countries of Europe lost faith in its usefulness. Thereafter, they themselves entered into mutual political and military alliance. তো লিগ অফ নেশনসের ফেলিওর আরেকটা কারণ। এবার হিটলার্স ইনভেশন অফ পোল্যান্ড, এইটা কিন্তু একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট যে হিটলার্স ইনভেশন অফ পোল্যান্ড। Hitler invaded Poland in 1st September 1939. The city of Danzig was inhabited mainly by Germans, and by occupying Danzig corridor, Germany could connect with East Prussia. Germany signed a non-aggression pact with Russia in August 1949. On September 1st September 1939, the German armies marched to Poland. Thus, the invasion of Poland marked the beginning of the Second World War. Very, very important. এটা কিন্তু brief mention of attack of Pearl Harbor, bombing of Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bombay attack on Pearl Harbor. America followed a policy of strict neutrality. The only military force that Japan had to fear was US. এটা কিন্তু important একটা জিনিস। Attack on Pearl Harbor. The only military force that Japan had to fear was the US Pacific Fleet based at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. Page number 150. On December 7, 1941, Japan, under the premiership of General Tojo, ordered a surprise aerial attack on Pearl Harbor. The battleships were sunk and the important airfields were destroyed. 37,000 people were killed. The Japanese made two crucial mistakes at Pearl Harbor. Kiki Kollo. They did not destroy the ship repair facilities at the base, nor did they seek out and destroy the US carriers. As a result, most of the ships that were damaged were soon back in action. On December 8, 1941, the USA joined the war, halting the Japanese advance. Bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. এর consequence defeat of Axis power formation with United Nations and Cold War. যাই হোক, bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The Americans started their আচ্ছা, on August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb ever to be used on humans was dropped on Hiroshima. It destroyed half of the city, killing thousands of people. Despite the terrible destruction, Japan is still refused to surrender. On August 9, 1945, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. On September 2, 1945, Japan surrendered unconditionally and signed the surrender document on the deck of USS Missouri. This day was declared as victory over Japan. মানে VJD Day, Victory over Japan Day. After 6 long years, World War II was over. Over 50 million people perished in the Second World War. Of them, 22 million were soldiers and the rest civilians. About 12 million people lost their lives. আর সেকেন্ড অ্যাটমিক বোমটা কোথায়? ওই যে long before the invasion on Japan was planned, scientists in the United States were working on the most powerful weapon ever conceived, the atom bomb. In July 1945, the first atomic bomb was detonated in the desert near Alamogordo in Mexico. Gordo in Mexico. মানে একটা ডিটোনেটেড মানে একটা বোধহয় টেস্ট করেছিল। এই কথাগুলো খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট। 1950, এই পেজ 151-এ আছে। ইন জুলাই 1945 দ্য ফার্স্ট অ্যাটমিক বম্ব ওয়াজ ডিটোনেটেড ইন দ্য ডেজার্ট নিয়ার অ্যালামোগর্ডো, নিউ মেক্সিকো। এইখানে প্রথম একটা টেস্ট করে দেখেছিল আর কি। Are on August 6, 1945, first atomic bomb ever to be used on humans was dropped on Hiroshima. It destroyed half of the city, killing thousands of people. Despite the terrible destruction, Japanese still refused to surrender. On August 9, 1945, another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. On September 2, Japan surrendered unconditionally and signed the surrender document on deck of the USS Missouri. The day was declared as Victory over Japan Day. VJ Day. After 6 long years, World War II was over. এইবার consequences of the Second World War. এটার consequences হচ্ছে defeat of Axis power আর formation of United Nations. Consequences of the Second World War, defeat of Axis powers. Up to the middle of 1942, the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, met with remarkable success and captured large territories in Europe, Africa, and Asia. By the end of 1942, the tide began to turn against the Axis powers. In November 1942, the Allied powers recaptured African territories lost by France. It was followed by their victory over Italy and then Germany. Thus, after the war, the Axis powers had to face several consequences. At the end of World War II, Germany was divided into two zones, each zone under the army of each Allied power. The German Democratic Republic, known as East Germany, was administered by Soviet Union with East Berlin as the capital. The Page number এটা 152, হ্যাঁ? The German Democratic Republic, known as East Germany, was administered by the Soviet Union with East Berlin as the capital. The Federal Republic of Germany commonly known as West Germany, was administered by UK, France, and US with Bonn, BONN, as the capital. এইবার হলো আর কি হলো consequences of the second world war. একটা তো defeat of Axis powers. Axis power হচ্ছে জিগ, JIG, জিগ এদের ডিফিট হয়ে গেল 1942 তে। Our formation of the United Nations, the horrors of the two world wars, and the failure of League of Nations led to a meeting of Big Three: Roosevelt, President of USA, Churchill, Prime Minister of Britain, and Stalin, Premier of USSR, at Yalta in February 1945. They resolved to convene a conference of representatives of all Indian nations at San Francisco to draw up the Charter of United Nations. San Francisco, they resolved to convene a conference of representatives of all nations at San Francisco to draw up a Charter of United Nations. This led to the establishment of United Nations Organization on October 24, 1945. এবার কোল্ড ওয়ার। During the Second World War, the USA and Soviet Union fought together in cooperation with each other. However, towards the end of the war, the apparent harmony between USA and Soviet Union declined. All suspicion and ideological difference came to the front. Though both the countries did not engage in actual fight against each other, there was a state of extreme political tension between the two. The state of tension between the countries, in which each side adopted policies designed to strengthen itself and weaken the other without armed conflict. It is known as Cold War. Thus, the US and USSR continued to. Cold War is defined as an atmosphere when there is no armed struggle, but the rivals continue to maintain their peacetime diplomatic relations along with the hostility. তা তত দরকার নেই। US and USSR continued to maintain diplomatic relations and did not resort to overt clashes. Diplomatic relation maintain করতে লাগলো, overt clashes এ গেল না, but treated each other with hostility. This led to the division of the world into two power blocks. এবার দুটো power block form হলো, one block was led by US and the other was by USSR. The democratic and capitalist bloc ছিল the bloc led by USA, called the Western Bloc, or the American bloc, believed in liberal democracy based on capitalism. আরেকটা হলো কমিউনিস্ট ব্লক, একটা ফর্ম করলো, the bloc led by USSR, called the Eastern Bloc, or Soviet Union, believed in communism based on Marxist theory. ওরা হচ্ছে USA democratic and capitalist bloc. The bloc led by USA, called the Western Bloc or American Bloc, believed in liberal democracy based on capitalism. The bloc comprised Britain, France, Belgium, Italy, Canada, Austria, Netherlands, Greece, Pakistan, Turkey. Our communist bloc, the bloc led by USSR, called Eastern Bloc or Soviet Bloc, believed in communism based on Marxist theory. The two blocs openly propagated against each other and considered each problem from point of view of the bloc and left no opportunity to weaken the opponent. But at the same time, they made every effort to avoid direct conflict.